Search my car! Lawsuit pending! Leave me alone! Christmas bugs me.
Hello everybody, welcome back to Screenstars. Welcome to my review for the 2022 Christmas comedy, A Christmas Karen. The film is directed by John Binkowski and Lisa Enos Smith, and it stars Michelle Sims, Megan Colleen Moriney, Roland Alexis, Layla Lawrence, and Ashley B. Jones. Right. This film essentially is a retelling of the Dickens classic A Christmas Carol. But this is called A Christmas Karen. You see what they've done there? Now, this focuses on Michelle Sims' character, Karen, who is not a very nice person at the beginning of this film. She's horrible to everybody. Basically, is a real Karen. And she is then the usual thing, visited by three ghosts, the ghosts of Christmas past, present and future, in the hope to make her see the error of her ways. Right, what are my thoughts on A Christmas Karen? Well, this modern phenomenon of Karens, if you like, I think this is quite a smart idea and quite a smart twist on this Christmas classic. Now, A Christmas Carol is my favourite Christmas story, so any time there is like a new kind of twist on the story or a new version of the story, as Spirited was recently, you know, the Ryan Reynolds, Will Ferrell film, I'll generally watch it if it's, you know, if it's kind of following that story. And I thought this was quite a clever idea, using this, like I say, this modern phenomenon of Karens to put like a twist on the tale. Now, I have to say, I wasn't expecting that much from this film. I thought it was going to be really low budget with some pretty poor performances. But I was actually quite surprised here. Now, Michelle Sims, who plays the Karen in this film, I actually thought she was really quite good and quite funny, if I'm being honest. And I actually quite liked a lot of the sense of humour in this film. It did actually make me giggle more than once, and I genuinely didn't expect it to. I thought it was just going to be like a cheap film that was going to, like, you know, use this Karen phenomenon, if you like, to kind of put a weird twist on A Christmas Carol. And while it does do that, it actually does it with a little bit of care and attention. So I thought Michelle Sims, who played the Karen, was quite excellent in the role, really. She played a really unlikable character for much of the film, who does some fairly despicable things. Very Scrooge-like, obviously. And you could see her redemption arc. And even at the end, when the redemption arc comes full circle, if you like, as they normally do in these types of stories, it still manages to hold its sense of humour by the end, which is not an easy thing to do. It could have easily gone down the really sickly, you know, honey sweet route at the end, and while it is a nice ending and it's a feel good ending, all this kind of stuff, it still manages to hold its sense of humour by the end and raise a couple of giggles. There's a scene in particular where, you know, obviously she's had a redemption at the end. She goes to the supermarket. I forget what she goes to buy now. Yeah, she wants to buy something from the supermarket because it's Christmas Day, and she's like, oh, it's Christmas Day. And then she's like, oh, in this wonderful, diverse neighbourhood that I live in, there'll be something open. I just thought that was hilarious. And then she's in the supermarket, and she's saying, shouting over the tannoy, Merry Christmas to everybody, even the Muslims. It did make me snicker a couple of times and have a little bit of a giggle. So it had a pretty fun sense of humour, this film. I think it was very clumsy at times in some of the messages it was trying to get across, because in the film she has a gay brother who she treats really quite terribly throughout much of her life. and they're estranged by the time this. She's visited by the ghost, so they're kind of showing her the error of her ways and things like that. And I thought they handled that fairly clumsily, if I'm being honest. I don't think it was handled particularly sensitively, but they made an attempt, I suppose. But I thought it was quite a fun film. I'm not going to lie. I was about to say highly amused. I'm not saying I was highly amused by watching this film, but I was entertained, certainly, and I thought the writing was smart here and there, and I thought some of the jokes were pretty witty here and there. But other than the obvious twist that they're putting on the Christmas Carol here, it follows the story actually much closer than you might realise. She gets visited by her old boss. Obviously, like the Marley's ghost, but it's her old boss. And then you've got the Ghost of Christmas Past, Ghost of Christmas Present, and the Ghost of Christmas Future. And it follows that pattern pretty stringently. And she's got some poor neighbours. One of the daughters poorly. The Tiny Tim story. So it follows the Christmas Carol storyline much closer than you might think. It just puts obviously the modern twist on it with the Karen thing. But it's okay, especially if you like A Christmas Carol and you like the twist that they put in here. I thought this was okay, much better than I expected it to be. But it is certainly not what I would call a holiday classic either at the same time. So, yeah, check it out if it sounds appealing to you. A Christmas Karen. I will, of course, be back with plenty more reviews on the channel very, very soon.